The story begins with a girl named Lily riding her bike home when a large pack of dogs suddenly starts chasing her. The truth is, all of those dogs are following a single leader that has brought together every dog in the city to take revenge on humans. The story then shifts into a flashback where we see Lily playing with her pet dog, Hagen. A moment later, Lily's mother, Elsa, walks over and takes both of them with her. We learn that Lily's parents are divorced and Elsa has remarried. Because of that, Lily isn't especially close to either of her parents, and she spends most of her time with Hagen. Hagen is the one companion Lily trusts more than anyone else. As it turns out, Elsa is leaving for Australia on a business trip that same day, so she takes Lily to stay with her ex-husband Daniel for a few days. We then meet Daniel, who works at a butcher shop inspecting meat. After he finishes his shift and walks outside, he sees Elsa and Lily waiting for him. Elsa asks Daniel to look after Lily and Hagen while she's away. Daniel hadn't seen his daughter in years, but something still felt wrong. Daniel is happy to see Lily after so many years, but he isn't thrilled to find out she's brought Hagen with her. The place where Daniel lives doesn't allow dogs, but for his daughter's sake, he agrees to let Hagen stay with them anyway. Sometimes love means breaking the rules for the people who matter most. After that, the three of them head home together. Along the way, Daniel's landlady spots them and reminds him that dogs aren't allowed in the apartment building. Daniel tells her Hagen won't be staying there for very long. Later that night, Lily and Daniel sit down for dinner. While they're eating, Lily plays with Hagen and feeds him some of her food, which doesn't sit well with Daniel, and he scolds her for it. Daniel realizes keeping Hagen there could create even bigger problems. After dinner, Lily asks if Hagen can sleep in her room, but Daniel refuses. Instead, he locks Hagen inside the bathroom. Hagen cries and whines all night, keeping both Daniel and Lily awake. Eventually, Lily goes to comfort him and plays her trumpet until he finally falls asleep. The next morning, an animal control officer shows up at Daniel's apartment and demands that he pay a fee for keeping an unlicensed dog. The neighbors had reported Hagen's barking during the night. No matter how hard Daniel tries, the truth is already obvious. Daniel does everything he can to keep Hagen out of sight, but Hagen suddenly walks out of the bathroom. The officer immediately realizes there's a dog inside the apartment. Even then, Daniel refuses to listen and flatly refuses to pay the fine. That single decision quietly sets even bigger problems into motion. On the other hand, Lily becomes anxious after seeing how angry her father is. She's afraid he'll send Hagen to an animal shelter, so she hides him inside the storage room at her music school. But when Hagen hears the loud music, he wanders into the classroom. Lily's music teacher gets upset and tells her to take her dog outside. Lily doesn't want to leave Hagen by himself, so she walks out with him. That's when Daniel shows up. Lily knows losing Hagen is the one thing she cannot accept. The music teacher had called Daniel to let him know Lily had brought her dog to school. Daniel puts Lily in the car, yells at her, and says Hagen is going to an animal shelter. Lily begs him not to do it, but Daniel refuses to change his mind. In frustration, he forces Hagen out of the car. Hagen chases after them, but before long, he can't keep up and loses sight of the car. Hagen keeps running until hope slowly disappears behind the road. That night, Lily makes a plan to find Hagen. She sneaks into the kitchen to grab some meat from the refrigerator for him, but Daniel catches her and sends her back to bed. Meanwhile, Hagen is still waiting at the spot where he last saw Lily. When she never comes, he sets off to search for food. Along the way, he finds the body of a dead dog lying beside the road after being hit by a car. For the first time, Hagen faces the cruel reality of surviving alone. Stopping in the middle of the road wasn't safe, so Hagen leaves the area. A little farther down, he catches the smell of meat and follows the scent until he reaches a butcher shop. As he's staring at the meat, he notices a white dog heading toward the shop. Hagen follows the dog to the back entrance, where a group of dogs is eating leftover scraps from the butcher shop. When Hagen tries to join them, the other dogs start barking at him, and the noise brings the butcher outside. Hagen quickly learns this place belongs to someone far more dangerous. The butcher chases all the dogs away, but Hagen refuses to leave and starts barking back at him. Furious, the butcher goes after Hagen. Hagen runs into the shop's meat-cutting room to hide, but the butcher spots him and tries to stab him with a knife. Just then, the white dog rushes in and grabs the butcher's leg, giving Hagen a chance to escape. One fearless act turns a complete stranger into Hagen's first friend. Afterward, Hagen follows the white dog to an abandoned area. Several other dogs are there, splashing around in a pond and drinking the water. Hagen tries to become part of the group, but they won't accept him. With nowhere else to go, he sits beside the white dog, because from that moment on, the white dog is the only friend he has. Sometimes, one loyal friend is all it takes to keep going. The next day, animal control officers arrive at the abandoned area to capture the stray dogs, forcing Hagen and his new friend to run. But Hagen ends up surrounded by two officers. Thinking they're harmless, he doesn't try to get away. The white dog starts barking frantically, and that's when Hagen realizes they're a threat. He takes off running and searches for a place to hide. During the chase, a homeless man man hides Hagen beside him. Trust can disappear in a single moment when survival comes first. Afterward, the homeless man feeds Hagen and ties a rope around his neck. Meanwhile, Daniel takes Lily back to her music school and tells her to apologize to her teacher. Lily tells both her father and her teacher that she won't keep looking for Hagen anymore because she now believes Hagen has only caused trouble for everyone. But after class, she secretly goes back to the spot where Daniel left Hagen. Even after giving up, Lily's heart still refuses to let Hagen go. Hagen isn't there, so Lily searches the nearby streets and puts up missing dog flyers all over the neighborhood. At the same time, the homeless man sells Hagen to the owner of a restaurant in exchange for food. It turns out the restaurant owner is also a dog dealer who illegally sells stray dogs. Hagen has no idea he's falling into something even more dangerous. The next morning, a customer named Simon visits the dealer to pick out dogs for an underground dog fighting ring. The dealer shows him the most aggressive dog he has, but Simon chooses Hagen instead. The dealer tries to talk him out of it, explaining that Hagen's skin is too thin and he isn't built for dog fighting. Even so, Simon is convinced he can turn Hagen into a fighter, so he gives Hagen sleeping pills and takes him away. Simon doesn't see a companion, he only sees a future fighting dog. When Hagen wakes up, Simon starts feeding him protein to make him stronger. He also beats Hagen with a whip, hoping to turn him into an aggressive dog capable of surviving in the fighting ring. Meanwhile, Lily is still searching for Hagen. She visits the local animal shelter and asks the manager if anyone has seen him. The manager tells her that dogs rarely survive on the streets and says Hagen was probably hit by a car or drowned in a river. Every answer Lily hears only makes losing Hagen feel more real. While she's out searching, someone steals Lily's bike, leaving her stranded away from home. At the same time, Simon takes Hagen to the underground dog fighting ring, where two aggressive dogs are forced to fight each other, and the one that survives is declared the winner. Hagen is about to enter the most brutal fight of his life. The owner of the winning dog walks away with a huge cash prize. Then it's Hagen's turn, and he's matched against a black Rottweiler. A brutal fight breaks out between the two dogs. At first, Hagen is losing, but a moment later, he bites into the Rottweiler's throat and wins the fight. Simon is thrilled by Hagen's victory, while Hagen continues staring at the defeated dog. The fight is over, but something inside Hagen has completely changed. Afterward, another man offers to buy Hagen, but Simon refuses to sell him. The two men start arguing, and suddenly the lights go out. Simon immediately thinks someone has stolen his dog. In reality, Hagen uses the darkness to escape. Meanwhile, after night falls, Lily starts walking home. Along the way, she runs into Peter from her music class. She doesn't want to go back to her father, so she asks Peter to take her to a nightclub. One desperate decision pushes Lily even farther away from home. Peter refuses at first, but later agrees after asking Lily to sneak his drugs into the club for him. Since Lily is still very young, the security guard doesn't search her, allowing her to carry the drugs inside without being stopped. Sometimes, the biggest mistakes begin with one simple favor.
Inside the club, Peter abandons Lily and leaves with another girl. Hurt and angry, Lily drinks alcohol and eventually falls asleep right there. The next morning, the police arrive at the club and take Lily to the police station where she's given a drug test. Thankfully, the test comes back negative. Daniel arrives at the station and blames himself for everything that's happened. Through tears, he apologizes to Lily and tells her they can adopt another dog. Daniel finally understands how deeply his choices have hurt his daughter. Lily forgives her father, but tells him she doesn't want another dog anymore. The two of them return home together. The next morning, Daniel has to leave for work, but he's afraid Lily might run away again. Lily promises she won't, and Daniel finally agrees to leave. Meanwhile, Hagen reaches an abandoned area where he reunites with a white dog. The two friends play near a pond and search for food together. Their brief moment of peace is shattered without any warning. Dog catchers suddenly arrive, capture both dogs, and take them to an animal shelter. There, the shelter director notices that Hagen has injured his paw and sends him to the treatment room. Hagen has escaped many dangers, but another one is waiting inside. Hagen waits inside the treatment room until he notices a woman in the next room putting a sick dog down before placing its body into a bag. Afterward, Hagen receives treatment for his injured paw and is placed inside a kennel with the other dogs. The shelter staff leaves food inside every kennel, but Hagen refuses to touch it because he no longer trusts anyone. Later, visitors arrive at the shelter looking to adopt dogs. One young woman becomes interested in Hagen, but when she approaches his kennel, Hagen lunges at her. Fear has replaced every bit of trust Hagen once carried. The shelter director tells one of the workers to handle Hagen. At the same time, Lily's music school is preparing for a concert where she's scheduled to perform, and Daniel arrives to support his daughter. Meanwhile, as a worker moves Hagen into another kennel with the rest of the dogs, Hagen snaps the collar around his neck and attacks the worker, brutally killing him. The dogs stop following Fear and begin following Hagen instead. instead. The rest of the dogs break free from their kennels and run after Hagen, accepting him as their leader. The shelter director tries to stop them, but she's terrified by Hagen's rage, slips to the ground, and loses consciousness. Moments later, the dogs flood onto the streets, spreading panic throughout the entire city. An entire city is about to face the consequences of one broken soul. Driven by hunger, the dogs become even more aggressive and start attacking people to steal their food. Some of them also make their way to Lily's music concert, surrounding the entire building. Seeing so many dogs outside, everyone panics. They lock themselves inside the concert hall and wait for the police to arrive. Lily is convinced Hagen is somewhere among those dogs, so she insists on going out to find him. Peter tries to stop her, warning that leaving the building is far too dangerous. Lily refuses to believe Hagen has completely forgotten about her. In the end, Peter helps her sneak outside and gives her his bicycle. Lily rides off to search for Hagen. Along the way, a large pack of dogs suddenly rushes out of an alley, chases her, and knocks her off her bike. Strangely, not a single dog attacks her. Instead, they all race past her as if they are chasing a far more important target. The dogs aren't hunting randomly. They already know exactly where they're going. Meanwhile, Hagen decides to take revenge on everyone who ever hurt him. His first target is the restaurant owner who sold him to Simon. Hagen and the rest of the dogs storm into the restaurant, attack the man, and kill him. Hagen's revenge has only begun, and no one is truly safe now. A short time later, Lily arrives at the restaurant, but the police show up as well and arrest her for approaching an active crime scene. Lily cleverly manages to escape and eventually reaches a butcher shop where she finds the butcher's dead body. He has become Hagen's next victim. The sight of so much blood makes Lily feel sick. She immediately calls Daniel and tells him the police will shoot Hagen as soon as they find him, so she's going to find him first. Lily knows she's running out of time to save Hagen's life. Meanwhile, the police surround several dogs and begin shooting at them, but most of the pack escapes and continues searching for its next targets. At the same time, Simon watches the news, reporting that the dogs have become fearless and are attacking people together. Just then, Hagen arrives with the rest of the pack. He signals them to attack, and the dogs brutally maul Simon while Hagen silently watches him die. Every person who betrayed Hagen is now facing the consequences. Elsewhere, the white dog finds Lily and signals for her to follow him so he can lead her to Hagen. But before they can get there, an animal shelter worker stops them and shoots the white dog. Lily desperately begs the worker not to kill him, but he ignores her and finishes off the wounded dog. Heartbroken, Lily runs back to Daniel's apartment, where she finds the landlady's dead body. The trail of revenge keeps growing with every place Hagen visits.
Lily finally realizes Hagen and the other dogs are killing everyone who ever hurt him. She immediately fears Daniel is Hagen's final target because he was the one who abandoned Hagen on the street. Determined to save her father, Lily rushes to find him. At the same time, Daniel is desperately worried about Lily's safety and starts looking for anything he can use as a weapon. Moments later, Hagen and the pack surround Lily in the middle of the street. Lily tries to talk to Hagen, but Hagen no longer trusts her and slowly begins moving toward her in anger. One final choice will decide whether love or hatred wins forever. Just then, Daniel arrives holding a blowtorch, making the dogs even more aggressive as they begin barking at him. Lily breaks down in tears and tries to calm them, but nothing works. Finally, she decides to play her trumpet. The moment Hagen hears the music, he slowly calms down and sits on the ground. One by one, the rest of the dogs do the same and quietly listen to Lily's music. The melody reaches the place where words never could. Daniel watches in complete disbelief and realizes his daughter is finally safe. In the movie's final scene, Lily gently lies down on the ground in front of Hagen and the rest of the dogs. And with that, this amazing story comes to an end. Sometimes compassion succeeds where fear and violence always fail. Maybe the real question was never how Hagen survived. It was what survived inside him. If stories that leave questions instead of answers stay with you, subscribe to KTS Mosan. Some endings don't end, they stay in your mind.